You know, I have been saying since he got elected, we have to be preparing. There are people that have to be preparing. Maybe not us here at this table because we are in a position of privilege. But if you're undocumented, if you work for the federal government, if you are transgender, you have got to be preparing. And and everything he's been promising, he did. I honestly thought, and the one thing that really did kind of take me by surprise, and it shouldn't have, were these January 6th pardons. Because I think it is such a gross, inexcusable, unjustifiable betrayal of police, of the Capitol Police. And I am disgusted beyond words that yesterday the leader of the Oath Keepers was in the Capitol that he helped plan.
He'll be the next Secretary of State.
Against.
What, are you kidding me?
Or he might be the Social Secretary of the White House. They're now discussing having some of these pardoned January 6 people visit the White House, the symbol of democracy in this country. What is wrong with Republicans, the law and order party, that they are not coming up and saying to him, having the guts on this one thing?
All right, guys, so we got to talk about the mainstream liberal media continuing to hyperventilate, to boohoo, whine, and cry, to fake outrage over everything that Trump is doing, okay? Trump's first 3 days have been probably the most eventful 3 days that I can recall in a long time, politically speaking. And they're mad, right? They're upset, okay? Because Trump is doing exactly what he promised he was going to do, okay? He said that he is going to pardon the January 6th protesters, and that's exactly what he did, okay? He basically issued a pardon for almost all of them that were involved, even the ones that had violent confrontations with the police. And now the Democrats are trying to pretend as if they are all of a sudden so pro-police, right? Like they care about the well-being of police officers, which is hilarious to me, considering how the Democrat Party, the left, and the mainstream liberal media, they're all anti-police, except when it comes to this one issue of January 6th. And they're going to get called out on that, okay? This Republican New York City council member is going to call out Abby Phillip over the fake outrage that Democrats are currently expressing over January 6th. And I think that this is a great conversation to react to. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Rico Tarrio was a convicted felon before he went to trial in this case.
And I've also seen literally some of these defendants on social media posting the pictures of their jail guards and asking their followers to go after those individuals' names, photos, people who were doing their jobs presumptively. Not saying I know exactly what went on, but in most cases, people who, when they come out of prison, there's some kind of period of time where they're under supervision. Now their slates are wiped clean, and some of these people might actually be dangerous.
Now, you know what's hilarious about this? Again, the hypocrisy here is just stunning. If CNN was a real news channel, right, in which they don't consider Fox News to be a real news channel, by the way, even though Fox News actually covers real news, this is why more Democrats and Republicans watch Fox News than the Democrats and Republicans that watch CNN and MSNBC combined at this point, okay? The reason why is because Fox News has thoroughly covered the crime that is out of control in these liberal cities across the country. A topic that CNN refuses to cover, and they refuse to acknowledge the reality of what's happening. In fact, people like Abby Phillip, she claims that crime is down, right? She's one of these crime is down conspiracy theories.
America, hold on, Keith. The reality in America is that crime is massively up.
Crime is not massively up. That's a lie.
You're
lying, Congressman. You're lying.
We already know that there is
the FBI just released data this week that crime is going down.
We already know that.
Oh my God! Abby, why do you let this man lie on your national television like this? This is not right.
You may not
You're a liar, Congressman.
No, I'm
You're
not.
lying.
Because you're lying to the American people now. And so I want to be respectful of what you're trying to say.
Hang on a second.
Go ahead.
You would just let me talk. Hold on.
It's not silly when people.
We have to, Congressman,
I'm sorry.
give me
I'm sorry,
1 second,
Abby.
please.
Go ahead. Of course.
We have to deal in facts here.
Thank you.
Okay? It's clear as day. The FBI put out statistics for 2023. The trend line is going down. If you don't believe the FBI, independent people who look at these numbers say the same thing. There was a spike in crime during the pandemic. That is true. Nobody's disputing that. But the reality is that crime is going down. You don't have to twist the facts to make the case that people feel unsafe.
But again, what I find to be so funny about this is that all of a sudden she's now concerned about the January 6th protesters possibly committing more crimes and harming people and hurting people after being released. But yet, where was this concern when that is what everybody was talking about who was covering the crime that was happening in these liberal cities? These repeat offenders who constantly get locked up and released immediately due to these soft on crime laws and policies that were enacted by progressives in these liberal cities. And then these people eventually went on to commit even more violent acts, in some cases killing people. Where was the outrage? Where was the concern from Abby Phillip? I guarantee you there has not been one segment on CNN where Abby Phillip has expressed concern about repeat violent offenders being let out on the streets of these liberal cities. I guarantee you, you can't find it. I guarantee you. But now all of a sudden, well, these January 6th protesters, they can be violent. They can be repeat offenders. The hypocrisy is sickening. It really is. It's sickening. And these are the same people that tell you, we're fair and balanced journalists. Yeah, right.
Well, Abby, there's no secret. I was actually on the campaign for a long time. And Donald J. Trump, our president, made it very clear that if he was to be elected, that he would pardon the J6ers. Now, I'm from a lieutenant governor's office just like Jeff. And the way I look at it, me personally, is that we worked in state capitals, and state capitals are protected. And for the life of me, I have no idea why the U.S. Capitol wasn't protected that day. We knew there was going to be a rally. People knew. The police departments knew. Why wasn't there enough? I was just in Washington these last couple of days, Abby. There's gates 10 feet high. Nobody could get close to. Why wasn't it at that time?
Okay, but what about the pardons?
I mean,
well, see, here's the thing. The reason why is because Nancy Pelosi, she admitted this on camera. It's her fault. She takes responsibility. But ultimately, the powers that be did not want to call in the National Guard because they were afraid that Trump was going to use the National Guard to disrupt the certification of the election. That's why they stopped the National Guard from coming in, even though Trump wanted National Guard troops there. They did not allow it. They went out of their way to undermine the president, to circumvent his orders, because they thought that he would use the National Guard to try to overthrow the election. That's what they thought, and that's why they weren't there.
Look, he told America, elect me, I'm going to pardon J6ers. His message was the economy and inflation, but he always talked here and there about J6 as well, Abby.
So you're fine with the pardons of these violent
crimes? You know, I wish it would have done a little bit different, maybe, go on a case-by-case basis. That didn't happen.
It's
he said,
it's so
get it
interesting
done.
To me. I don't understand how hard it is to say violent criminals shouldn't be pardoned for trying to have an insurrection and stop the peaceful transfer of power.
Again, this makes me sick, bro. I can't stand this right now. Again, when has Abby Phillip ever done a segment in which she's expressed any type of concern about the violent criminals in these liberal cities and the catch and release that's currently happening? When did she ever express concern about that? Now all of a sudden she's concerned about violent criminals because they're January 6th protesters. But we have just lived through 4 years of nonstop violence and chaos in these liberal cities because of repeat offenders, and she hasn't said a damn thing about it except it's a conspiracy. The hypocrisy is just stunning right now. This is why I can't stand these people. They're not serious. Wow.
Can you say that? I'm just out of curiosity.
Look, I'm okay that these people, especially those that assaulted cops, actually faced some consequence. But I won't cede an inch of the moral high ground on that issue, specifically law enforcement, to anybody who represents the Democratic Party in general.
Facts.
Because this is a party, I mean, especially here where we are in New York. You could assault all summer New York City police officers getting assaulted and beaten. You have Rikers Island where correction officers get stabbed, slashed, beaten every day. And the Democratic Party here in this state and nationwide doesn't say boo. We have a Soros prosecutor who won't prosecute these people. These January 6 guys that assaulted cops, they were in jail for 2 years, 3 years. That's fine with me. If you do the same thing here to a cop in this city, you're lucky you get 3 hours in the slammer.
California is the same way.
California is the exact same way. So this is, January 6th was not a great day for America. But to your point, it was litigated. Trump ran for office from day one saying he was going to do this. The American public had their chance to weigh in. He got elected and he did it. And now we're going to have to move forward.
The 2 in 10. Americans support the pardons. That's not a lot of Americans.
Well, there's no doubt. There's no doubt.
Yeah, that doesn't have anything to do with anything, right? That has nothing to do with nothing, because clearly it didn't matter when it comes to how people decided to vote. Okay, everybody knew that this is what Trump was going to do, and they said, yeah, we're going to vote for him anyways. But what this Republican New York City councilman just said is so true. And that's what disgusts me about these people. How many stories have Abby Phillip covered about police officers losing their lives over the last 4 years? The last 4 years have been the deadliest time in American history to be a police officer. Okay? This is the most dangerous time to be a police officer. I've covered so many stories about police officers losing their lives.
2024 on pace to be a record year for gun violence against police. All of this is according to the National Fraternal Order of Police. Brand new numbers from the world's largest organization of law enforcement officers showing nearly 100 police officers shot in the line of duty so far this year, including 10 who died as a result. Tom Dempsey is live with the latest here. Tom, it's only April. How do these numbers compare to last year?
Good morning, Marky. After the National Fraternal Order of Police says last year set a record for officers shot while in the line of duty, this year could actually surpass those numbers. This morning, we are actually at the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial right here in Washington, D.C. And you can actually see part of the wall here. And each of these panels of walls has names of officers who were killed in the line of duty. And already this year, just 3 months into 2024, Marky, we've seen 10 officers shot and killed while in the line of duty. The National Fraternal Order of Police released these numbers this week, and it shows that 98 officers so far have been shot while on duty, and that remains slightly ahead of the 2023 numbers. Last year actually marked a 60% jump since 2018 for officers shot. As I said, 2024, though, has also seen 10 officers die in the line of duty. That includes Detective Jonathan Diller of the NYPD, shot and killed while making a traffic stop in Queens late last month. 2 other officers, Paul Elmstrand and Matthew Ruge of the Burnsville, Minnesota Police Department, and both just 27 years old, died in a shooting back in February while responding to a domestic incident. Investigators later said that shooting happened without warning.
Where has CNN been? Where's Abby Phillip been? Where's all these people who now all of a sudden, oh, well, we love police. Police are amazing. We can't stand violence against police officers. It's unacceptable. Where were all these people? They were nowhere to be found. They were too busy talking about Trump. But now all of a sudden when it comes January 6th, oh, now these people, they back the blue. Again, it's amazing. The hypocrisy is stunning. These are the same individuals that either outright supported or made excuses for one of the most violent political movements we've ever seen in this country's history, the BLM protest that was explicitly anti-cop. That was an explicitly anti-cop movement. And they supported it. But now all of a sudden, oh, well, no, we support the blue, right? We back the blue. We support the police. How can these people commit such violent acts against police officers? That's the worst thing ever. They must be locked up forever. But they've never made this argument when it comes to anything else outside of this. And this is why nobody takes these people seriously. The American people can see it. This type of one-sidedness from the media is why they don't have any credibility. This is why CNN is declining in revenue, viewership, and relevancy. They're not a credible news network anymore. And it's stuff like this. You got the journalists up here, Abby Phillip, basically arguing on behalf of the Democrats, expressing outrage over something that she does not care about. She doesn't care about violence against police officers. Because if she did, she would have been covering it for the last 4 years, but she hasn't been. Now all of a sudden, I'm disgusted by this. I can't stand these people being released because they assaulted police officers. The worst thing ever. But police have been getting killed en masse over the last 4 or 5 years, and she hasn't said a word about it. Amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I mean, we measure it in a vote.
John, what do you make of what he just said there?
Well, I think that the criminal justice reform laws that went into effect in places like New York and California did real damage to the criminal justice system. And a lot of recidivism is being excused by this new structure they put in. Still, getting back to the planet Earth, that's a marked difference from doing a mass pardon of people who were convicted after trials and guilty pleas of assaulting police officers and essentially trying to overthrow the government. It's not an apples to apples, and I get the whole pardon business. The Clinton administration, the Obama administration pardoned FALN bombers who were behind a reign of terror that left people dead in cities like New York and Chicago. And we've seen that with Leonard Peltier, you could argue.
Apples to apples, Joe Biden killed a cop killer.
But pardoning a mass amount of people and just saying, I'm giving you a pass without considering the individual circumstances of those cases, as suggested, is a bit of a shock to the system.
I guess my question is...
And by the way, just to be clear, Joe Biden did not pardon Peltier. He commuted a sentence.
He commuted the sentence of 37 people on death row who committed some of the most heinous crimes.
Just for clarity, but go ahead.
If it's so bad, then why do you want to be like it? Like, you keep wanting comparing yourselves to Democrats, then don't do what...
I think the punishment should fit the crime. If you were in jail for the past 3 years before you assaulted a cop, no complaints here. No, in New York, you wouldn't get 3 hours.
As a lifelong Republican.
So I don't care about what this guy has to say. I actually think that he was kicked out of the Republican Party of his state. So I don't care what he has to say. Now, this woman right here, she is trying to play the card of, well, you guys should be better than Democrats. Now, again, it's just hilarious coming from the same people who quite literally refuse to accept the idea that Kamala Harris needed to be better than Trump. These are the same people that were boohoo-wah and go, why does Kamala have to be better than Hitler? Now, all of a sudden, they're saying that Republicans need to be better than Democrats. This is not about Republicans being better than Democrats, because I think a vast majority of Republicans have condemned the violence that happened on January 6th. These people have did their time. The point is that the Democrats, they are now trying to pretend as if they care about police officers when they don't. They are an anti-police party. This is an anti-police party. These people don't give a damn about police officers. So, again, it's not about Republicans being better than Democrats, because these people, these January 6th protests, they did their time. They did their time. They did more time than anybody in any liberal city would have done for assaulting a police officer, okay? They get a slap on the wrist. These people have done their time, okay? So it's not about that. It's about the fact that Democrats all of a sudden now want to pretend like they care about police when they don't. There's never any outrage over the police that are assaulted and killed on a daily basis in this country. You don't hear any outrage over that. CNN doesn't cover it. In fact, they go out of their way not to cover it, especially if the perpetrator doesn't fit the narrative, right? But see, with January 6th, though, oh, you got a bunch of white guys that stormed the Capitol and beat police officers. They're trying to pretend like this is the worst thing ever. It's sad. It really is. And what's even sadder than this is the fact that the January 6th police officers have allowed themselves to be used by Democrats as pawns for their political agenda. These Democrats don't care about these January 6th police officers. If these January 6th police officers were the D.C. police officers that got beat during the BLM riots in D.C. that happened throughout all of 2020, you would never heard about them. You'd never see them, right? You know how we know that? It's because you never hear or see anything about the police officers that did get beat in D.C. by the BLM rioters. Where do they not deserve recognition? Apparently not. At least not according to the Democrat Party. So, again, nobody's falling for this. And, you know, it's just hilarious to me to watch these people bend over backwards to pretend like they actually care about police when they don't. They don't care about police. They're just using these police officers for their own political game, and I think everybody can see through this. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.